And I would love to welcome everyone today to Luminary Leaders Live. Today we have Reina Rose, and you'll meet her in just a moment. My name is Shelly Harrison, and I am the CEO and founder of Luminary Leaders. We're a speaker management and consulting company, and we work all over the globe. And I love what I do because I get to interview people that are just amazing from across the globe and authors. And today we have an international best-selling author and one of our clients who you'll meet in just a moment. But first, I just want to make sure if you're tuning in with us, we're live right now. But if you're watching the replay, please share it out. Watch the whole show that we do today because you're going to get some wonderful information from Reina and learn all about her. So without further ado, I want to welcome Reina Rose, who is an international best-selling author. She is a Roku TV personality, and she also is a keynote speaker who speaks all over the world. So Reina, I want to welcome you.
Thanks so much, Shelly. It's such a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, same here, Reina. And we go way back. We've been, where we've done a couple of things together, and we're so proud. Yeah. And we're so proud to represent you now with Luminary Leaders. And I really would love for our audience to know a little bit more about you and kind of your background. So can you share a little bit with us right now for our audience?
Sure. So my background started out in fitness and really being a teacher of how to have body wellness. And so, that it all started for me with the physical body. And then as I've grown, a lot of the spiritual body and the mental body and having that mind, body, spirit connection has really come into, business practices and media and everything I do is kind of now bringing in that whole triad of mind, body, spirit, wellness. And a lot of that now I kind of have the cornerstone of it on being able to steady and center oneself in silence and meditation. Those words are scary for some people, but even sometimes as little as 1 minute, to refocus and recenter. One example I give is, if you're coming home from work and you need to be with your family, you're kind of in work mode, taking 60 seconds before you get out of your car and just centering into the family mode and going and being 100% with your family so you can recharge and be able to go back 100% into work. Because, especially right now with a lot of people working from home where there's not a lot of deviation, sometimes it's good to take that 60 seconds before you leave your home office and fully transition into family life and vice versa, and so that's a lot of what I've been speaking about lately, especially post-COVID. But, a lot of it's all about getting centered to focus on your goals and hit those goals in a place of peace and rest and moving forward.
Oh, yeah. And, I do meditate, and I find that, like you pointed out, even 60 seconds, if people could do that, it just does so much for your mind, body, and soul. And, your company, which is Soul Nutrition, I would love for you to kind of share a little bit about, what your company is and talk about maybe some of the topics that when you present to audiences, what those topics might be.
Sure. So right now, I'm actually doing a big series in media on love and finding out what really makes relationships work.
I love it.
But I haven't been seeing that. I've been actually interviewing that one. So I speak on soul nutrition and living a fulfilled life, practices for that, which include meditation, habits for happiness, casting a vision, having that vision and working towards it. And I talk a lot about my own life experiences of creating these visions that seemed really impossible at the time. And I kind of said, hey, if this stuff works, I'm just going big. And I put big visions that seemed incredibly impossible. And, within years, they've started to come to fruition. And the better you get at it, sometimes the faster it happens, not always. And, I also talk about running and resting. Running and resting is a keynote speech I give. And, there's times in our life where we're really running and we feel great and energized and we're going towards the goal and we don't feel drained by that. It actually feels amazing. And then there's times when we have to really pull back and rest. And so, identifying when those times are and how to cope in both seasons. Because for some people, the running's harder. So for some people, resting is incredibly challenging. And
It
so,
is.
yes, so
Absolutely.
so identifying both seasons and really thriving in both seasons, and then identifying when to change from season to season is definitely a speech that I give, as well as I do one called Take Your Meds, which is about those 1 minute meditations, and really how to just incorporate that into your everyday life so that we all know that person who is not present because they've just come from something else and they're totally present. And had they just taken another 60 seconds and incorporated that as a habit, they could show up, even if it was another minute late, fully present, fully aware and with the people they're with, whether that's a business meeting or family or friends, to truly be present. And then leads into the speech of wealth, of course. And so really identifying our true wealth, which, I really believe is in our relationships. That's business relationships, family relationships, friends, and then how to be a good steward of both financial wealth and relational wealth and how they really coincide with one another.
Yeah. And when you're sharing this kind of information, I know that like I went to your YouTube channel earlier today and I did, in fact, I'm going to go back and watch it, but it was about love. Cause you mentioned that a little bit earlier, but I definitely want to watch that. And it's a quick one. I think it's like 10 or 12 minutes. It's not even that long. But I encourage people to go to Reina's YouTube channel too. When you talk in front of audiences, and right now it's virtual, Reina, what goes through your mind when if you have a captive audience of 30, 40, 50 people, what is going through your mind when you're presenting for them?
So I started out life as an entertainer. I mean, I was dancing around the living room of my parents' house, and then as I took speech classes in junior high, like I was not the shy kid. I thrived in getting up and presenting what I know, and so for me, when I get up, whether that is, presenting a song, if I'm singing to people, or the information that I have acquired and experiences, some of my meditation, I've gone to monks and monasteries and really like honed this down, is what gift can I give to this audience? And when I was young, sometimes I would get up and share my song or share whatever I'm sharing and be slightly like, what will they think about this? But instead of like, what will they think about this or think about me, it's how can I gift these 50 people or these 5,000 people, depending on the audience. What is the greatest gift I can give here? And so, that's really depends on, am I in front of a business crowd? Am I in front of a bunch of network marketing people? What am I in front of? Because that message is going to be different for that crowd. What's going to touch them? What is going to be able to go home with them and actually be implemented that day, that week, and moving forward into that year.
Oh, and that's wonderful because, there are a lot of speakers out there where they're just, wham, bam, I'm done, and they don't connect with the audience. And the fact that you want to give your audience a gift, what gift can you give them today? I would think that this, the talks that you do, and you're very versatile. I know there's a lot of different topics that you can cover on, the spiritual side and also, the meditative side. And then
diversity, also on the corporate. You wouldn't think a white female would be talking about diversity, but I
do. Yeah. And you could talk to the corporate, a company or, teams and different professionals. So, what are the audiences that you really feel that the material that you present on, who are those audiences?
It is quite a range, like you said, anywhere from the corporate mentality that is looking to really hone down, focus, be present, be in meetings. I've noticed in certain corporate environments, one's really coming to mind right now in the medical field that I've watched, where, they're getting into their team meetings before the day starts, but it's kind of starting with a bunch of BSing, which can be great for connecting with one another. But when you only have 15 minutes to really start that meeting, starting with something like a 1 minute meditation where everyone's silent for a second, you're just moving through something together, and then get right into that meeting can really make a difference to how that 15-minute meeting affected the rest of the day. That kind of huddle that a lot of corporations have and things.
Oh, yeah.
Then 5 minutes of it is taken up with, oh, it's cold over where I am, and it's this, it kind of takes down the efficiency of that meeting, which those things can kind of happen at the end, right?
Mhm.
And so whether it's that or, network marketing and really getting into the motivation and how to make your business thrive. And the nice thing
Mhm.
about that is it's also focused around relationships. And then I talk to a lot of churches and about relationships, about
Yeah.
tithing, about really my second book is all about living your best life, and
Mhm.
how to
Yeah.
live that out very consciously, aware, and present. Because here's the thing, Shelley, if we're not present in every single moment, when you like someone asks you what you had for lunch and you're like,
Yeah.
I have no idea, I can't even remember because I wasn't
On his
present,
face. Yeah.
right? And so
Absolutely.
when we go through the day and someone asks how the day was and we can't remember what we did that day, we were
Mhm.
not present. When like you've been on vacation and when you're with your family and you just had a jet ski adventure or something, you were so present in that adventure. And someone asks you how your day was, and you say, "Oh, I had this jet ski adventure, and it was really wonderful," because you were present. Now,
Yeah.
imagine we could get present like that in every moment, in every meeting, with every contact, with
Oh,
every person. It's as if we lived 1,000 lifetimes because we're truly in each moment rather than missing so many moments because our head is somewhere else because we're not really there.
and that is an awesome, awesome point, Raina, because and I can give an example because earlier I had a really important Zoom meeting and I couldn't get my camera to work. And I was so frustrated, flustered. And, one of the other ladies kind of led it. And then I was, coming in at a later time. But I was so frustrated and I wasn't present. And finally, when I got to the meeting, I just took a deep breath and I thought, okay, I got this, and I want to be fully present during this meeting. And I love that you said that almost in everything that we do, if we were present with every single interaction, every phone call, every moment of our life, it's possible, right? But people think, I can't do that. It's impossible. So for those naysayers, what do you have to say for the people that say, I can't do that and I can't even do it 50% of the time?
Well, I would ask, are you willing to be able to do that? Because
Mm,
I think
yeah.
sometimes we're not willing. We don't want to get off the phone. We don't want to, I've even found myself when I'm really busy in business and family seems a little bit hard right now.
Hmm.
I got a lot of work to do,
Yeah.
It's just identifying that is okay. Okay, I identify that sometimes I'm just better at work and
Mm,
family seems like too much. And so I bury myself in my work. And so becoming aware of just being honest with yourself is the first step, right?
yeah.
And maybe being honest with yourself, you can say, okay, I'm going to end 2 minutes earlier, one for a meditation and be 1 minute earlier with my family or 1 minute earlier to work or whatever you need to shift the priorities to.
Right. So be
And just start,
intentional.
yeah,
Intentional.
just start with
Yeah.
that intention. First, awareness, because if you're not aware and you're just constantly going and going and you're like, no, my family's my priority, but I spend 95% of my time at work, right? And like never come up for air and spend any time with the people I love, which is supposedly my values, which so
Yeah.
many of us find ourselves in this situation because we've got to make a living, we've got to provide for this family, right? And so, but to take a step back, how could I rearrange this to have maybe just 15 more minutes and go, I'm going to go home 15 minutes early. Or if this needs to be a priority, especially working from home right now for entrepreneurs, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to sit at my desk 15 minutes earlier than I had planned. And I'm going to get centered and I'm going to work till this time and I'm going to carve it out and nothing's going to interrupt this. I'm going to be so present.
Yes.
So it goes both ways. It depends on someone's priorities. And that's why when I'm speaking to an audience, I'm first really analyzing who that audience is. Are these
Mhm.
people staying at home, entrepreneurs who really need help focusing and getting in front of that computer, making those calls, doing the diligence? Or
Yeah.
are these people, corporate executives who are really great at work and need to pull themselves away to
Mhm.
actually recharge and be more effective when they come back? So maybe they're working 30 less minutes, but it actually gave them hours more productivity because they're
Yeah.
It's like charging your phone. You know, like you can get down to the low battery mode and some of the things don't work. Or you can just put it back on the charger and it's going to be more effective for you. And
Yeah.
so is your mind, body, spirit.
Yeah, and it's a better feeling because, you feel like, wow, I can relax. It's okay to take time off, or it's okay, 15, 20 minutes or whatever, just to do nothing and just meditate or get centered. And I love what you're saying, because I think there are so many people out there, and think about it, because we've been quarantined. We've gone through a lot over the last year, and now, it's going past a year. I mean, after with the current conditions right now. And people, we thought we were busy, really busy before. I think there's a lot of people that can say, I'm busier now than I was before, and they because they're going from their, their office bedroom or office in their home, and just stepping out into the kitchen to make dinner, or going to watch TV or interact with their family. And I think that's where you do the wonderful work with, with corporations, and just speaking to audiences, where you can give those modalities as far as what they could do to be more centered and just be at peace with, with their, like you say, mind, body, and soul, and that soul nutrition that they need to just sit down and take care of themselves. Self-care.
Absolutely, Shelley. And it's kind of that magazine that you actually had me write for in West
Coast Magazine.
We wrote about ownership. And so right now, a lot of corporate people are experiencing ownership as if they were an entrepreneur at home. They're having to manage their time more like an entrepreneur, because you can just go over there and do the laundry right now. You can just go over there and, do little things around your house that you were at the office and you were very focused before. And so this is a great luxury that we have, but it can get abused, and then it can deteriorate our work. Or we set ourselves boundaries. We can become aware, focused, know our weaknesses, and be aware of that as well. And structure our day more like an entrepreneur, and really take ownership of our part of the company. And realize, like, I'm not going to do laundry on company time. I'm going to, do this. Or if laundry is a 20-minute break for me that I would have taken at the office at the water cooler, but it's being aware and structured to what works for you and what is going to make you most productive and most peaceful in your company. Because if we're stressed out about things, we're not going to be effective members of the team.
Not at all. Not at all. No, those are great points, Reina. And I want to let everybody know that Reina is also speaking this Friday for International Women's Day for the Women's Symposium of Southern California. And we're excited to have you represented there, Reina. It's a wonderful event. They do, in years past, this is the 5th anniversary, and it's virtual. So, past years, it's a wonderful event, and so many women and some men attend. And we're gonna have you at that event virtually. I'm excited, because you're going to have people there that have never met you before, and it's going to be an opportunity for you to really share your wisdom.
We're going to be speaking on purpose in that one, and it was fun. I was actually on a podcast this morning talking about, the why behind why we do things. So tune in Friday to find a little bit more about if you're struggling with your purpose right now, whether that's your purpose within your work and your role now from home instead of the office, if that's your purpose in your business. Tune in on Friday, come in and let's find out why we're doing all this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And I also want to let our audience know, we had a comment come in. So let's see here. And okay, there's from Mark Mays. We hear from Mark. Okay. Well, I know, and Reina rocks too, if Mark is watching.
Yeah, Mark was in our summit for the Corona Summit that we threw last year, right when COVID hit. So he was a great speaker as well.
Yeah. And you are an international best-selling author. So I would love for you to share the books one that you've written and one that you participated in. If you could show those books, Reina, and tell us a little bit about those.
So the first book that went international bestseller is Natural and Organic Healing. I am a co-author in this, and I wrote the chapter, actually, the 8 steps to rest and restore and avoid burnout. And so right now, especially during COVID, we wrote this pre-COVID, but a lot of these steps are really instrumental. When we're really getting burned out, that Zoom fatigue and, things that are happening is we're constantly in the same spot in our house, or maybe our house is doubling, for a dining table and an office, how to avoid that burnout. So it also has a lot of other great authors, and all the money on this, it's on Amazon, goes to charity if you buy it. So this is a great one.
On Amazon.
Yeah, on Amazon. This is also on Amazon. This is my full book. It's a little bit more on the religious deconstruction side and living your best life. Although people who are non-religious have really enjoyed it too, because it's just great tips on living a good life and seeing what you want and going towards that thing, rather than, so many people are walking left, but they want to go right. And you got to do is turn around and go right. So it's kind of a bunch of common sense, living your best life, deconstructing faith a little bit. It's called Sin Tastes Good. The subtitle is Nourishing Your Soul in an Empty Calorie World. And so it kind of just talks about those empty calories, that we think are going to taste good. My thing is donuts. I personally think they make me sick. And so, there was a time when I was younger that I didn't realize how sick they made me. And I just thought they tasted so good. They were so pretty. I would always eat one, and then I would feel so sick. And now I look at a donut and I just see the stomach ache. I don't even see the prettiness. And so there's things in our lives, and it's different for everyone. And that's why I always say this book does not wrap up any answers for you. It really asks a lot of questions because it's all personal. How to live your own life.
And I love the cover too. I mean, when I first saw it, I'm like, that looks so appetizing in the sense that what is this book about? And we actually had a LinkedIn user. Do you have any tips to help read the room on a Zoom call versus in-person speaking? That's a great question. And I'm sorry, we can't see who that is, but that's a great question.
Yeah.
So, Reina, do you want to do that?
Yeah, there's several ways to read the room in a Zoom conversation. So it's really going to depend what kind of Zoom room you're in. Some of them you can see the faces, which really helps. When we held our summit, you could see everyone's faces, so you could really see people nodding along and things. That's helpful. But a lot of times you're in the kind of Zoom room where all there is a chat. And so I'll start first with the faces. So if you can see faces, a great way to kind of get audience participation, where before we might have had someone raise their hand, stand up, all kinds of ways we can get them to physiologically move. Which there still are ways actually to do that on Zoom, especially if you have videos. But you can also get them to hit the little hearts or the clap hands, and there's ways on Zoom that you can get them to participate. But I've also seen actually one of the better speakers at our summit when we held it, and I've incorporated this into mine too, is actually getting people, especially if you're in like kind of a corporate training, to get up and move and to do things together on camera. And so that's helpful because it also just helps that Zoom fatigue that everybody has, and that clicking a clap button or a heart doesn't quite do. So if you have cameras, there's an amazing way to get that audience participation. If you don't, you really have to rely on the chat. So like right now, we actually have the chat going. So if you can get the chat going, you want to ask enough questions to where people can chime in and invite people to keep asking questions so that you can get that audience participation. And then the audience also feels so engaged because they notice someone else's question got answered. Oh, maybe I should write a question too.
And those are good points. And just getting people involved in, whether it's the chat box or it's, a little emoji, whether it's the heart or whichever. And I saw actually there was an event that we had a couple weeks ago, and I want to give Hiram Figueroa, he's got like 80,000 followers on LinkedIn. So Hiram, we're mentioning you here, and we're hoping that you share out this video with Reina Rose. Hint, right? But what he did is he actually, with the audience, he was just directly saying, hey, Reina, you've been here with us for, the last half hour. What are your reactions? How do you feel? And everybody that he called on, they all were just happy to share. And it really up-leveled just the whole dynamic of the event. So calling on people too, and kind of like, all the things that you said too, Reina. I mean, you're very good at reading an audience and, getting up there, and you've got that ability to captivate an audience because of your nurturing personality. I think that has a lot to do with it.
And probably a lot of open mics as a kid too.
Oh yeah.
You have to read the room.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
But
just being a teacher, I think anytime you're a teacher, you're wanting to make sure that what you're teaching is landing. And so whether that's calling on the students or, just seeing the engagement, the head nods, the note taking. And again, that can be hard on Zoom. And so like you said, you can call people out on the Zoom, especially if you have the photos and the names. That's a lot easier. If it's just a scrolling one, maybe you can even pick out names if people are commenting. So there's different ways to do it, but I encourage you to also come up with your own.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. And, we want to thank whoever posted that. Again, I can't see it, but I know on the replay, we'll be able to see who posted that. Great question. Thank you. And I'm sure it'll help a lot of people out there that are on Zoom and either as a speaker or someone that, is kind of moderating an event that's on Zoom or a virtual event. I want to thank Reina. I know we've gone a little bit over, but I think it's so valuable because you gave really great insight. And again, we're so happy to represent you. And is there any last comments that you want to mention to our audience?
Yeah, I'm just so happy to be here with you, Shelly. Working with you between the event that I threw and the events that I'm doing. I just want to encourage people to reach out to you, whether you're looking for speakers or you're looking for representation. Definitely reach out to Shelly. She's got such a great group of speakers that are speaking for her that whatever your topic is, she can just pull the best of the best for you. So make sure to contact Shelly Harrison because she is incredible.
Oh, thank you, Reina, as are you. And again, thank you so much for being here today on Luminary Leaders Live. I appreciate all the information that you shared today. And we're really looking forward to having you on virtual events across the globe this year in 2021 and getting you to where, you're really able to give those gifts to so many people and just help to transform lives and get people to where they can do that self-care and just, have that 60 seconds to just kind of, just gather themselves together and kind of move on with their meeting or whatever it is that they need to be doing. So again, thank you, Reina. We appreciate it. And to our audience, we want to thank you for being here with us today. Thank you to those of you that commented and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, and we'll catch you next time on Luminary Leaders Live.